Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's time for Co-Hosts. I'm Tara Setmayer, Michelle Kinney, JoJo from Jerz, Julie Roginsky, brought to you by the Mayday Network. We are here to talk about what the hell we're over this week because there's always something, there's no shortage of it. And we're going to get right into it. Guys, there's been this week, I'm exhausted and it's Wednesday, okay? I'm exhausted between Donald Trump and the TED Talk, the Timu TED Talk yesterday with Pete Hegseth in the middle
Oh
of the
God.
I know, Julie, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
What's happening with the shutdown, which for Julie and I probably, I don't know, did you ever live through a shutdown as a
I
staff?
did not, because when I worked on the Hill, things actually functioned.
The 90s, right?
Yeah, but no, the early 2000s. This is the first
Oh, yeah.
too, but the early 2000s. But even though everybody disliked each other, they all worked together because they
Yes.
understood the mission. And the
Yes.
assignment. Yep.
Unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember as an intern on the Senate side when I was over there in 1995, the first shutdown that the Republicans orchestrated with Newt Gingrich and all those guys that ultimately backfired, frankly. But that was the beginning kind of this political kabuki theater that they go through and weaponizing government shutdowns and the appropriations process and all of that. I mean, the 90s, I think, were the last time we passed a budget through normal process. It has been nuts that this is going on. It's dysfunctional. And the fact that Democrats are getting blamed for a Republican shutdown where they control every lever of government is just nuts. I just think we can start there.
That's gaslighting at its worst.
Well,
Yes.
let me say this. Republicans can solve this immediately. They can get rid of the filibuster. And that's up to them. They need 51 votes to do that.
Yep.
So if John Thune wants to get 51 Republicans, he's got more than that, to say, you know what, we're just going to nuke it. We're going to nuke the filibuster, get rid of it, and Democrats will have no say. They can pass a budget immediately.
Didn't they just do something like that like 12 or 13 days ago when it came to those nominations?
Yeah, to the nominations. But they're afraid to do it with the budget because they understand when the shoe's going to be in the other foot, Democrats will do that to them.
Yep.
Here's my attitude. That's up to them.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's entirely in their hands. If they want to get rid of the filibuster, God bless.
I mean, again, it's the N-word, the apparently one of two N-words that we're not allowed to say, according to Donald Trump. If you saw the speech yesterday from Quantico, you know what I'm talking about. But nuclear, I mean, George Bush couldn't pronounce it, and Donald Trump doesn't know what it means. And
listen.
It's a toy word to throw around.
Nuclear, I remember at the time, was like the funniest thing. And oh my God, George Bush is so dumb. Blah, blah, blah.
Biggest scandal.
Little
Wasn't
did we
funny
know.
for us.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but Donald Trump is very smart because his uncle was a professor.
Yep,
He went to MIT.
Yep, MIT.
And taught the Unabomber who did what didn't. But okay, yeah. Sorry, nuclear option to your point, Tara.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, to Julie's point, the nuclear option was usually like legit the legislative nuclear option that no one ever wanted to use.
Yeah.
It's back when words meant something and when parliamentary procedure and institutional norms meant something. But I believe it was the Republicans who broke that norm the first time that kind of set this, wasn't it?
No,
Wasn't it Mitch McConnell?
Nuclear?
No, it was actually us. The Democrats did it first on judges on the Supreme
Oh, okay.
Court. Yeah,
Okay.
and then the Republicans followed suit. But I will tell you this.
Well, they should have, because Republicans were obstructing, if I remember.
Listen,
And
you
it
know
was
what
after, was it after McConnell and the whole Merrick Garland, we're not going to holding you up for the Supreme Court? I think it was after that.
I don't remember. It might have been before that. But the point is not that. I hate
that
the
time frame.
filibuster. I hate it. From my perspective, you vote, you get what you vote for, right? And so my attitude is I hope they blow it up. And I hope they pass this budget along party line votes and put it on Susan Collins, who's up next year, and put it on all of them to say, this is what we're doing. We're passing yet another continuing resolution because we can't get our shit together to pass a budget. And we're going to vote for this continuing resolution. And by the way, we're not going to restore cuts to healthcare, and we're not going to restore cuts to nursing homes. Go for it. I mean, go for it. If I were the leader of the Senate Democrats, we wouldn't be in this mess. But if I were Chuck Schumer, I would literally get on the floor today and I would say, you know what? You can pass this budget along party line votes right now. And you know that, Mr. Majority Leader. Senator Thune, you know that. You know how to do that. Don't blame us. You can do it.
That should
Well,
be
I
what
dare you.
everyone is saying, Julie. It's crazy.
But they're not, Tara.
I know. And they're
Well-
losing the messaging battle on this because Republicans last week started with the Schumer shutdown shit. And I said in one of our chats with some DNC folks, what are you guys doing to combat this messaging? And there was crickets again. Because this is not it's easier for the Republicans to turn this around because Democrats can't stay on message for one thing. That's every single Democrat should be saying exactly what Julie just said. I'm sorry, you guys are in charge. You could pass it right now. You're choosing not to because you're okay with millions of people losing their health care or becoming unaffordable because you made legislative fixes that destroyed Obamacare because you guys don't want Americans to have health care. That's it. That's it. Keep it simple.
And what did we do yesterday from 12 p.m. Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern? This very thing with every Democrat we could get our hands on who did that very thing. And of all of them, Senator Blumenthal seemed to have the greatest understanding
I was shocked.
of this messaging issue. The whole point of it was called Stop the Republican Shutdown. And every single one of them was on point, from Representative Gomez to Senator Murphy to Representative Frost. They were pinning this shit, rightfully so, on the Republicans using simple language like bullying bullshit and grow some balls. And we spent 2 hours putting it out there, and it's just 2 hours, but it should be every hour of every fucking day.
Yep.
And those people get it, but they also need help. They need help from the people in this space, in the content creator space, the new media space, because fuck legacy media. By the way, I'm not even going to go off on the fucking Wolf Blitzer interview I heard this morning, but fuck legacy media. It's a messaging battle, period, because we have the facts on our side. So when you have the facts on your side and you still lose the messaging battle, clearly we know what the problem is.
Yes.
But you know why they won't do it? And this is the part that is kind of hilarious to me. They won't say it because they don't want the filibuster to go, because it's really all they have. It's the only leverage they have.
Which I get.
I get it. Listen, they're all institutionalists. And
I am too. It pains me.
Not anymore. Mitch McConnell blew up the institution.
I know.
Dare them to do it. Dare them to get rid of the filibuster to pass this budget. Just do it. Dare them to do it, because I will tell you very clearly that they will think twice. I don't know that there are 51 votes to blow up the filibuster on the Republican side. Maybe, but I'm not so sure. Because
only if they think that Democrats are never going to get power again. That's the only way, because it's similar to like the free speech argument, where those Republicans that are free speech advocates like Ted Cruz and all of them are going, well, wait a minute. Maybe when the shoe's on the other foot, this isn't a good idea. It's the same thing with the filibuster. It's why I've always been against blowing it up. I'm like, guys, this is a slippery slope, man. Slippery slope.
I think the filibuster is racist. I think the filibuster exists.
It started that way, yes.
Legislation, like, screw it. You know what? This country voted to give Republicans power at every level of government. Give it to them. I've been saying this from day one. Give the people what they want. The people clearly wanted this, right? They clearly wanted a government that is going to take away their health care, take away their benefits, take away their Medicaid, take away their Social Security eventually, take away their food assistance, take away their ability to sell soybeans to China. That's what they voted for. You know what my attitude is? Give it to them.
They should say that, though. Julie, they should say that, right? Like, guys, this is what you keep saying, Republicans keep saying that the president has a mandate. This is what they voted for. Then go for it. This is not what our people voted for. And despite those that are voting against their own interests, we're willing to fight on behalf of all Americans to make sure that they have access to health care, to make sure that they have our military is taken care of, that our farmers are taken care of. But if Republicans, this is your mandate. So what you're saying is you're okay with millions losing their health care or becoming unaffordable, farmers going bankrupt, selling our country out to bail out other countries, go down the list, but they don't frame it that way. They frame it in these like obscure policy arguments that loses the American people.
Well, they have to. Michelle, sorry. You want to say something? I feel like you haven't had a chance to talk.
No, sorry. I've been kind of doodling in the background anyways, just trying to load in everybody's stuff for the show today. But no, I'm just like, I don't know why, if they're going to do all this stuff and they're going to be so reckless, just like own it. Like
You
own
have
it.
to be forced to own it, though. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Every opportunity, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries or whoever gets on TV, right? It's the same people. It feels almost like a little bit of a cat fight right now, where it's like it's the same people. Like I wish the Max Frosts and some of the other kind of downrank Democrats could get on air because they're better messengers, and people need to hear it from other people that aren't just the same wants. Because I think a lot of people tune them out because they know what they're going to get, especially Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer actually shouldn't be on TV at all.
Let me give you guys.
I'm too busy trying to work for the American people. Send out your deputies, because him being on air is a detriment, frankly.
And I love Hakeem Jeffries, but I will tell you guys this: like I had him on my podcast the other day, and some of the feedback I got from people was we don't want to see him right now, and and that breaks my heart for lots of reasons. But having that event yesterday again, and listening to all of those other voices and those other perspectives, and knowing the energy that they brought to the equation, because the other part of this that is absolutely crucial, it's not just like let them burn it all down, right? Like I'm not saying that that's what anyone here is saying, because I mean Rachel Vindman even says a lot. She's like, I'm very torn because sometimes I'm like, this is what you fucking voted for, and sorry Julie's dad, but like this is what you all wanted, and then she's like, on the other hand, then I see those kids that are going to starve, and those cancer patients and those veterans, right? So like there's that, there's clearly that, but what the Democrats need to be doing on all of that is this is what you voted for. This is what they are offering. This all belongs to them. This is what they want. This is what we are doing. And this is why we are fighting. Because if people feel like they're just walking away and going fuck around and find out, then that doesn't help the Democrats either.
Correct.
It's like you have to thread that needle where you're still offering the fight, because that's what people want to see, while saying, you know what, you handed them all of the levers of power. And so far as we can do, this is what we can do.
I'll give you an example, because you could tell a little kid not to touch that stove 100 times. And until he touches it or she touches it, they're not going to know. So this is what I would do. I would go to Illinois. I would go to Iowa. I would go to Louisiana. And I would say to those soybean farmers, hey, you guys, because these are all in red districts, red areas that they all live, you guys voted for this. You voted for this. Your farm is going under because you voted for this. I mean, I wouldn't put it quite that way because nobody wants to be blamed for shit. But the reality is this is the government that we have now gotten. We Democrats, the minute we're in power, are going to roll back these tariffs. We are going to put forward legislation that effectively forces the president to make a decision. Does he rescind these tariffs or not? Either he signs this legislation or he doesn't sign the legislation.
Listen, the way you do it is that the way you do it a little more nicely, so you don't completely blame them, even though we know. But okay, you can't start a conversation with like, you got what you deserved, idiots. Like you can't start there.
Try harder is not.
I mean,
that's opening salvo.
I wouldn't put it that way, but
voice, right? That could be your inside voice. Like
my inside voice has been coming out a lot more outside.
I love it, Julie. I love it.
Yeah. But strategically, what we did at Seneca in the beginning of the year was we did an ad about veterans being betrayed. You have been betrayed. And that applies to veterans, farmers, blue collar workers, families, all these people, MAGA people too. You guys, we didn't vote for this shit. You didn't betray us, because we weren't expecting the promises that they made. He betrayed you. Republicans are betraying you. That's the way you frame this, especially the farmers. We saw this happening way back months ago, as soon as the tariff stuff kicked in, because actually before the tariff stuff, right, Michelle? We were talking about this when USAID programs were being abruptly
at the end,
right? Because the farmers rely on those contracts. We feed the world. So people and this was another missed opportunity for Democrats to set this narrative up earlier in the year. USAID, a lot of the average Americans didn't care. They're like, why do we care about foreign policy programs, right? We don't care. No, you should care, because it's your farmers who have contracts for years to grow soybeans, to grow wheat, to grow whatever, not rice, but whatever that goes to these programs that they're now going to lose because they aren't getting the money. And their product is rotting in warehouses where it's costing more money to store it out of spite than it is for our farmers. So how is that okay? So like people would understand that and show the stories, show the farmers losing their their farms that have been in their families for 100 years. Tell the human stories of how this affects them. And now we're seeing it again because you saw there was the head of the black farmers on CNN this morning talking about the farmer suicides are through the roof because so many people are losing their family legacies because of Donald Trump. Where's that ad? I'd love to make somebody send Seneca some money so we can make it.
That makes me think about, I remember when Uber and Lyft and the rideshare stuff came into New York City, and that was happening with a lot of taxi drivers when they were the value of their medallions were going down, or they would lose their medallions altogether. Like there was a suicide epidemic of taxi drivers and people who owned medallions because I don't think people understand these things are passed down through families, just like farms are, just like, any parts of the country, right?
Yep.
And the thing about the farmers too is, like, in addition to this, we're sending a $20 billion bailout to the Argentinian government to bail out their economy, which everyone should be talking about.
Yes.
We can't afford child cancer research. We can't afford to pay our veterans' healthcare benefits. The list goes on and on and on.
Yep.
But we can afford to bail out a far-right authoritarian leader in Argentina who also, I don't particularly understand the details here with the soybean situation with Argentina, but there's like a China element here too.
Oh, I can tell you real fast.
Yeah,
So Argentina, China, and everyone should see that photograph. I think it was the AP or someone that got that over the shoulder photograph of at the UN with Scott Bessent and the conversation between him and the agriculture secretary, who acknowledged that China just played America because of this Argentinian thing. So the soybean farmers have a certain amount of their market in China is huge, right? That and pork producers are the two biggest ones. And they buy from us. Well, because of the tariffs, the Chinese have said, fuck the United States, we can go buy these products from somewhere else. Well, that's what they've done. I believe it was $13 billion. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But their crop is usually $13 billion that goes to our U.S. farmers. That money, you know how much money they've gotten this year from their exports from our farmers going to China? Zero, because of Donald Trump. So now, as a result, the Chinese are going to buy those soybeans from our competitor countries like Argentina or Brazil, not from us. That's what's happening. And the ag secretary acknowledged that in a private chat that was caught on a photograph by accident.
I know I have it here.
A huge issue for Democrats, particularly in those red districts in the flyover countries, states, counties that are like getting destroyed by Donald Trump's policies, but yet they voted for them. This is a huge opportunity for Iowa.
Iowa, which by the way is very much in play, and
Democrats in Iowa.
And she went on yesterday on whatever, maybe it was CNN. What's her name?
Oh, Brooke Rollins, or whatever her name is.
Fuck her.
What a moron.
She's but she gaslit again and bullshit. Doublespeak, talking about how this is all part of making sure that we feed ourselves as a country. Yeah. This is really America first.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Crazy. Gaslighting.
People fucking believe it. Sorry, Drew's dad. They fucking believe this.
This messaging, here's the problem. They suck. Like, there's no other way to put it. They suck on every level. And their messaging kind of sucks. But their messaging is 10 million times better than Democratic messaging. And that's why they're winning. And, we were just, look, there are two races going on this year. There's one in Virginia. There's one in New Jersey. It drives me up the wall that people think that what happens, I can't speak to Virginia, but they think that what happens in New Jersey is going to be some sort of harbinger for what's going to happen next year. Let me tell you something. New Jersey, which I know very well because I've worked there for 30 years, New Jersey, the odds of a Democrat winning a third consecutive term in the governor's office, it's never happened in our lifetime. I think the last time, at least in my lifetime, the last time it happened, I believe, was 1965 or some of these random.
It's a little different now.
Right? And if Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic candidate, wins, it will be purely because people hate Donald Trump. But they don't vote on those issues. They vote on economic issues. Now, if I were running for governor of New Jersey. The only thing I would say is not that Donald Trump sucks, because, okay, Donald Trump's numbers in New Jersey are actually better than the incumbent governor Phil Murphy's numbers, so you could only go so far.
That's right.
The only thing that I would talk about is, you know why your electricity rates are going up? Because Donald Trump has made them go up.
Yeah.
Want to know why your taxes are going up? Because Donald Trump has made them go up. I have a friend who lives in Jersey City who's about to pay 75% more in healthcare costs because she's on Obamacare, because she's a solo.
This is the other part of this.
It's a gift politically. I mean, it's terrible for people, but a gift politically for them to
You know why your healthcare costs are going up? Look south. Don't look at Trenton. Look to Washington. Yeah, okay, maybe Trenton hasn't delivered for you the way it should, but believe me, that's going to be 20 times worse when you have a Republican governor who's going to be working with his president to screw you even further. That is not the message that's emanating right now. And I'll tell you, I'm sick of these candidates who were created by consultants in some laboratory. I'm a consultant, so I know who these consultants are. I used to be one of them. And then you look across the river in New York, and I don't care what you think about Zoran Mamdani. It doesn't matter if he's your cup of tea or not. The guy blew up the system. He blew it up. He had a scavenger hunt in New York City where he invited everybody to go on a scavenger hunt.
There were so many people there, like on my own feed of just my friends. I was
people showed up. And I'll tell you why. And Democrats, listen to me, because I believe
that's creative. A scavenger hunt.
Yeah. But I'll tell you why it was so smart. And I'll tell you why it's so smart that, and Joe, I'm sure you have this on your Substack, on your chat. And we certainly have it here in our chat on Over It. And we certainly have it on Saturday mornings in Coffee and Conversation. People are looking for community. They're looking for people who are like-minded, because all of us are waking up every morning and sometimes not even sleeping at night because we have low-grade anxiety about what is going on in this country. It is always with us.
Yep.
It's either about the fact that everything's going up, inflation's going up, we can't afford to buy stuff, or it's because we just can't believe what's happening to our democracy. And then you bring people together in some sort of, community, whether it's a scavenger hunt or a Joe's chat or a my chat or here and Over It, and people feel like they have others who are like-minded that they can be in community with. Why no candidate except Zoran Mamdani has figured this out is beyond me. He's figured it out. He's created a community of Mamdani people.
Yeah.
They're not Democrats. They're not socialists. They're not people who agree with him on policy necessarily. They just agree that there's a community that they want to be a part of.
He got a lot of Trump voters to turn out for him.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did
Economic
AOC.
populism.
Yeah, I was going to say,
powerful thing.
Screw the elites, which is still the irony of that, given how elitist Trump and everyone is around him.
But that's what the Republicans have been so good at. Was because they know, and somehow they were able to capture that part of the country with culture issues and weaponize it and say, we're going to screw you and make you feel like it's the Black people's fault or the brown people's fault or the trans people or the gay people or whatever it is, or women now across the board. And they've been very, very good at that. But the reality of the situation is like, these are the people who are screwing you. Don't you get it? And it's like, it's hard to be able to message that without being like, you moron, but you can't do that. And
it's negative partisanship. It is negative partisanship 101. It has worked for decades upon decades, and people will always gravitate toward who to blame for their suffering. And if you point them in the right direction of who to blame for their suffering, whether it's true or not, that is a more motivating force for voting than policy.
I would argue
has been, unfortunately.
I would argue that that's the original sin of Trumpism. I would argue that that's the original sin of MAGA, right? They, them, those people. Don't worry, Billy Joe, Johnny, Jean, that you live in a trailer, and that your wife is cheating on you, and that you have 3 teeth in your head, and that that your life sucks. It's not your fault. It's they, them, those people who took this from you. And then they, them, those people are coming for your fill in the blank, right? And at 1000%,
Yep.
To your point, but something that and you said it earlier, like you hate to paint the scenario as an opportunity, and this kind of brings it all full circle because
that's the political strategist in me. I'm looking at it from the political lens,
You're
not
right.
from the, not from the compassionate conservative lens that I actually function that drives a lot of my policy prescriptions. But yes, purely political.
But the thing is, you're right about that, right? But the thing. What you can't really do when people are suffering, I think you can gaslight people into thinking things are worse than they are. But when shit is really bad, it is much harder to piss down their backs and tell them it's raining. You know what I mean? And that's the situation, because with Biden and arguably one of the strongest economic recoveries from COVID, the COVID economic recovery we needed because Donald Trump fucking went golfing in large measure.
Yeah,
the economy was much stronger than the American people believed, largely because they were being gaslit into believing things were worse than they were.
From day one.
Now things are getting worse and people are feeling it. They are actually,
and it's only going to get worse. I was listening to the senator from Hawaii in the Democrats.
Hirono?
Brian Schatz.
The other one.
He was like the average increase of insurance premiums is 114% increase
in Hawaii.
Everywhere. I mean, that's about health insurance.
Because I heard Chris Coons say today in Delaware it was 75%. So that's the only reason why. So maybe it's because
he was telling a story about somebody's insurance going up 40%. And he goes, and he's lucky because the average increase is 114%.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's messaging, right? And something else that Chris Murphy said yesterday was the rich. This is the other part of this. While you're suffering, they're building ballrooms and getting billion-dollar airplanes and bailing out Argentina. But also,
did you see the video that Donald Trump posted of all the gold? Details from
Did you see the tweet?
Like, these are the best gold. Aren't these so beautiful? It is the most Marie Antoinette situation.
The point is here, it's at our taxpayer expense.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. That's why
I disagree slightly. I would
don't bring it up.
Want to put a finer point on this because this was part of it. Because in Connecticut, this is the other part of this equation. While you're suffering and they're doing the gold and the planes and all the shit, people in Connecticut, the richest people in Connecticut, ready for this? The tax cut that they're going to get because of the billionaire boner bill, on average, $270,000 from that bill. So you got to put that in the equation too when you're talking to people, because it's not just you're shit out of luck here and you're suffering and you're struggling. It's the fucking yacht owners. I am sorry. I am swearing more than usual. I am very sassy.
Bring it. Come on.
Think about how you can't even fathom having $270,000. Let alone being rich enough for that to be your tax cut.
That is actually exactly the argument that was that I hope that the Cheryl campaign in Jersey zeroes in on, because the lieutenant governor's debate the other night. Julie, did you see this? Okay, there was the lieutenant governor candidate who was a sheriff from Mikey Sherrill's home district. Actually, that's who Chitterelli chose because they thought they were going to run on fear and safety issues. He was not equipped for the economic question, and a slip of the tongue came out about, well, if you're a millionaire, you're going to get a cut because they're the people, they're the ones who employ people.
He said, he said, it's even worse, Tara. He said, yeah, I mean, we're open to tax hikes, but probably not for millionaires.
Right.
Now, New Jersey does have an insane millionaire's tax in the sense that I think it's
right. And and New Jersey and Connecticut are wealthy states, and we don't want to punish the job creators. That's fine, but in a time when affordability is the issue, you can't get into that nuance right now. You don't say some shit like, oh yeah, well, we're into tax hikes, but probably not for the millionaires because they create jobs. Like,
listen.
I mean, fastball down the middle. Mikey Sherrill's campaign.
Yes, so do something with it.
Run that as an ad all day long. I want to see that.
All day long.
Do something with it.
Bad for New Jersey. Just end it with that. Like, generally bad for New Jersey. And then cut an ad. Sorry.
I see somebody in the chat call him Jack Shitterelli, which I think
is
I will say I'm not seeing any yard signs. And I hate to be all, but
I'm the same way.
No, but that's a metric. It really, really is. It does mean something.
There is either of them.
Yeah,
guys. Here's what's going to happen.
Enthusiasm.
Here's what's going to happen in New Jersey. the MAGA people are going to come out because Trump is going to tell them to come out, and they're pissed off about Democrats being in charge for the last 8 years, and they hate Phil Murphy, and this is going to be a fuck you, sorry, Dad, to Democrats who've been in charge.
And they're going to tie Mikey Sherrill to Mom Domney.
Yeah.
They haven't yet.
They have already.
Too soon. Oh, have they?
Oh,
Okay.
nonstop.
Okay. There you go.
I haven't
I
seen
didn't
it
even
yet.
know.
So that's going to happen on the Republican side. Where I am deathly concerned for the Sherrill campaign is that I don't see enthusiasm among Black and brown voters, specifically Black voters.
I sent you the story today from the AP.
Yeah, but I spoke to the AP for that story.
Oh.
I am concerned deeply about the fact that the base of the Democratic Party has been so taken for granted, and that unfortunately, and I know from personal experience, in New Jersey, and I'm sure elsewhere, the people at the top speak to the quote unquote leadership of those communities. And then when you do focus groups of those communities, what the leadership wants and what they want are two totally different things. I'm going to give you a great example. It's going to get me into trouble. The leadership in New Jersey about 5 years ago was desperate for a reparations bill. They wanted a reparations bill. Fine. Did a focus group on it. And you asked Black voters what they thought about a reparations bill. And you know what their answer was? So you're going to give me a few bucks. And then when I tell you to fix my schools or fix my streets, get cops more into my neighborhood or do anything for me, you're going to say, shut up and sit down.
They know.
And so they thought it was a trap.
Yeah.
They were against it. And what I'm telling you is
40 acres and a mule. We've been there before.
Yep, exactly. Which they never got. But
correct. That's my point.
Yeah. But even if they got it, even if they got the equivalent of 40 acres and a mule, right, which is offensive. But even if they got, let's say $1,000, let's say they got $10,000. I don't know what, that
doesn't fix anything.
The way the leadership was talking about reparations is let's have a commission and figure out how to study things to make things better for Black voters and Black people, for African Americans in New Jersey, because they have been screwed historically. That is a great idea. I love it.
Yeah.
When you hear reparations, that's not what they heard. They heard, we're going to give you a couple of bucks and then sit down and shut up.
Yep.
And if you're explaining, you're losing.
Yep.
That's right. That wasn't communicated properly. And so leadership in New Jersey politically goes through these leaders. The leaders can't communicate. The leadership can't communicate. And regular voters are like, I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is I'm paying more every single day to rent or to own. I'm paying more every single day to drive down the street. Crime isn't really being addressed. And this is just the inner city. I'm not even talking about Black middle class voters who are, I can't afford to live here anymore.
Right. That's right. Well, speaking of properly communicating and giving speeches, I think we should shift to our overits, Julie. Yeah. And that I think fits in either with you or Joe's over it, because both of them kind of are related to communicating during a battle. Who wants to take it?
Well, Julie, mine is not so much about communicating during a battle, but I think everybody here probably saw or at least read about Donald Trump's speech yesterday in Quantico, where he addressed 800 generals and admirals who he flew in from all over the world to deliver a message to them. And this is how the New York Times portrayed what Donald Trump said. And I quote from the New York Times yesterday: "There does not seem to be a clear point or purpose in President Trump's address to military generals today. It's a garden variety tear. He's talking about tariffs, Joe Biden and the auto pen, the southern border, CNN, his personal feelings about President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia, and his anxieties that he won't be given the Nobel Peace Prize he deserves. Those are things he talks about almost every day, regardless of audience or setting. Every so often he throws in a statistic or observation he has about the military, and then he talks about how he loves the victory at sea, blah, blah, blah." Okay, that is bullshit. That is offensive. The New York Times, fuck you. Sorry, Dad, but I feel that strongly about it. Because Donald Trump was incredibly clear about what he was telling us yesterday. He was telling the military. He told the military a few things. You don't have to applaud. Translation, you don't have to love what I do. You could walk out of this room. Translation, you could resign. But if you walk out of this room, there, and I think the direct quote was, "There goes your career."
And I'm sorry, but I would listen to that. The way that he phrased that in the beginning felt so predatory and so rapey. I'm sorry. Just the way that he speaks to people. It's
agreed. But then he went further, and Hegseth went further, and effectively they said that we are at war with us that Donald Trump and his administration are at war with us American citizens,
Mhm.
that the military should effectively target practice in American cities.
I have that
Mhm.
clip. Do you want to?
Yeah, but he had a declaration of war, and we could show this, where basically he's saying the American government is going to fire upon American cities on American streets.
Mhm.
That's not nothing, New York Times.
Nope.
That's
And
not
that should be the
variety
lead.
complaining.
Don't you think that should
Not
be the
business
lead?
as usual.
And it's not like there does not seem to be a clear point or purpose in President Trump's address. Are you joking?
I know.
The purpose was, I'm declaring war on my own people.
Yes.
That's the message.
And if you don't like it, you can quit.
Go.
If you don't like it, you can quit. And by the way, then Hegseth, before that happened, Hegseth basically said, we're getting rid of people who are whistleblowers and complain about bad behavior. We're going after them because we're not tying anybody's hands. And you can do whatever the hell you want because we're getting rid of any standards whatsoever.
Yep.
I mean, you know,
And
getting rid of
anonymous
war crimes.
complaints and the ability to make anonymous complaints and, you know, all of that. We're overhauling the Inspector General's office, which is the oversight, civilian oversight.
Expunging your records.
Yep. And let me just read this quote from Hegseth. If the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. This came on the heels of Trump promising to fire any of them on the spot.
If you didn't like them.
Program.
Right. If you didn't like them. Michelle, play the clip. I think because a lot of people probably didn't see it because, you know, mainstream media sucks.
I have the war from within and then I have the cities. I'll play them back to back.
And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military.
Also, he sounds like
he looks terrible. Even Steve Bannon had to go on his podcast and make excuses for why Donald Trump looks so fucking terrible. Not only yesterday, but the day before. He actually said, well, the president, he looked really tired. But that's because he's working so hard for the American people.
That's because he's dying. He's literally dying.
You know it's bad when Steve Bannon has to gaslight his people because everybody could see that Donald Trump is unwell.
But you
one more thing about the way the media covered this, Julie. You quoted the New York Times. I should have sent this to you, Michelle, to post up. But yesterday on CNN, during the 8 o'clock hour, they had the Chiron talking about this whole thing. I don't know, for 20 minutes.
Who, Tara?
It was on the 8 o'clock hour.
Who had that? Who on?
Oh no, they had a couple people on talking.
A couple people on. Okay,
but the Chiron said,
Chiron. Okay.
Trump, Hegseth gather troops in rare meeting, announce new military standards.
Yeah, you know what the military standards are?
Military standards.
You know what Hegseth said? We're getting rid of, and I quote, the stupid rules of engagement.
Yes.
And at the same time that Trump is telling the military to go and target practice on us. They're coming for us. My God, how much more clear could they have been? And the New York Times, basically, there's nothing new here.
And CNN saying, Trump and Hegseth gather a rare gathering for news.
Why are we running stories about the shutdown? That's not the A block story. Nothing besides that meeting yesterday was the A block story.
Oh no, this was the A block story.
Oh, I know.
But it was, but that's how they led it with that Chiron. It took about, I don't know, 15 minutes into the conversation because I believe Adam Kinzinger was on. They brought Breonna Keeler on because she's a military wife. And she often talks about, like, she has a newsletter or something where she talks about military civilian transition and stuff like that. So they brought her on. And then also to talk about, which we didn't get to yet, is about how he insulted women in combat and wants to change the standards to back to 1990. And Joe, you made a point about, folks, so do you, Michelle, family members that wouldn't have made it in the military in their roles if those rules were put in place. They would not have had their careers in the military. And that's not lowering standards. It was opening opportunity for women in combat.
Are you trying to tell me that your top ranked judge advocates or drone operators need to be able to, do a back handspring through the desert? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a real thing, but it's not, there's no nuance, right?
No.
It's not a one size fits all for the military personnel. And listen, all of this is designed we knew about Pete Hegseth before he was confirmed. We knew that his history of comments that he has said about women in combat. We knew the things that he has said about women in the military in general. He clearly has a bug up his ass about Black people. I mean, the list goes on. He's got a white nationalist tattoo on his body.
He's a credibly accused sexual assaulter and a proven factual philanderer.
Yes.
Yes. And by the
and-
way, if you took his mother's word for it, a true piece of shit.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And
No matter
so
what you
walk
his mother's
back.
word for it, you could take my word for it because I know him. But
That's
Yeah.
true.
But
That's
I
right.
will
You
tell you
worked with him. So did I, but I didn't see that side of him back then. He
Well,
became,
actually-
it was a whole new monster when he went to Fox.
but I'll tell you this. Where's Joni Ernst? She would not have passed these standards. Senator
Nope.
Ernst who voted for him.
Mhm.
nope.
Senator Ernst, who has made a career out of saying that she's a sexual assault survivor and a military person.
Who could have
Where are you,
stopped it?
Senator?
Who could have stopped his confirmation?
Yes,
She
she
is not
could have.
running- She's not running again.
That's
She
right.
has all the freedom in the world
Yep.
to stand up right now and to
Yep.
say this is unacceptable.
Yeah, she
Crickets from the senator from Iowa. Crickets.
Mhm.
Crickets. Tulsi Gabbard, you served in the military. I understand you're in the administration. Open your mouth. I mean, he's not going to, but you know, it's just amazing to me that even as they're leaving, and this is like the Mitt Romney disease, right? Because Romney did the same thing. Mitt Romney, George Bush, Joni Ernst, like you guys are free to speak. You're free to speak. Why don't you say something, Joni Ernst? You would not have been in the military under Pete Hegseth's rules. The stupid rules of engagement, Roger Wicker, really, the chairman of the Armed Services Committee. What do you think about those stupid rules of engagement? And by the way, New York Times, I know you don't think any of this made any news, but why don't you go ask these senators who served in the military, Lindsey Graham, who was a JAG fucking officer.
I know. I was just
violating
thinking
the rules of engagement.
Mhm.
Ask them. Why is
Mhm.
nobody doing their job? Jesus Christ.
Well,
If
because-
sorry for people whose Lord's name I just took in vain, but I mean, come on.
Because
on. If I had money, I would hire an entire Capitol Hill press team to just go and ask these very simple questions.
Yep.
well, but they will say I didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. The
Show it
president
to
says a
them.
lot of
Show
things.
them
I
the-
know.
That's right. Always have it queued up so they
I
can't
agree.
say it. Same thing in the
I-
hearings. Same thing in the hearings. I hate when they try to say, well, I'm not familiar. Or any
Yes.
TV show. They have producers. Cue the shit up.
Cue it up.
And when they do, they get viral moments out of it, but they're too busy rolling into the next fucking scandal or question. And now they're following up on the last one, which is obviously very problematic in how we got here. And one of the things that hit me yesterday, when listening to Hegseth in particular talking, was I was going back. I know I talk about this a lot. We've all read it. It was On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. And I immediately started thinking about rule number 7, about what other authoritarians and dictators have done
Yes.
to get those in armed forces, those in the police, those who are armed to do their bidding. And essentially what Pete Hegseth was saying yesterday was you can commit crimes, that you'll be okay. We'll wipe the record clean. You shouldn't be shackled to those
Yeah,
things
that was
all of your
very
life.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read it to you, right? This is the lesson of number 7, focuses on the importance of maintaining professional ethics and a personal moral compass, even when
Being
pressured
armed.
by the system to commit atrocities. Snyder cites historical examples such as the Holocaust, where regular police and military personnel participated in mass murder and persecution. The rule serves as a reminder that individuals have a responsibility to question orders and refuse to participate in unjust actions. Hegseth and Trump told them the opposite yesterday.
Yes.
That was something that was hitting me in the face the whole time.
You know what,
can get
Joe?
away with it.
This is actually a good pretext for Mike over it, which is about what's happening with ICE. And it started with giving ICE carte blanche to act however they want to with their masks and acting like a Gestapo. Then it started with ICE. Then it graduated to the National Guard in LA, which under the auspices of the ICE things and crime. Well, now they're not just unconstitutionally detaining and deporting people or disappearing them. They're now going after journalists. It has graduated now. They arrested the congresswoman from New Jersey. We saw that escalation, right? You saw what they did to Senator Padilla in LA. Now we're going to journalists. There are at least 2 examples in the last week. Now, I think I didn't send this to you, Michelle, because I didn't have time to do it. But last week, people probably saw this ICE agent that shoved a woman who was begging and pleading for her husband in front of her child in a courthouse in Manhattan. And this bastard threw this woman against the wall and onto the ground. My husband, as a federal law enforcement officer of over 20 years, gasped at that and said, "Oh, he should be fired." He goes, "Who trained this guy? That is so against our training."
No one.
No shit. But it doesn't matter now because ICE can do whatever the hell they want. What happened to that guy? No, he wasn't fired. It's only because it made national news that he got suspended.
Yeah.
For 2 days? But he's been reinstated.
I knew it.
He's been reinstated. Okay?
I tweeted that response to that video. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I tweeted that. I said, watch. I didn't know it came back.
Reinstated by Monday. Now we had more incidences at that courthouse in New York, and it's not just there. We have video of 2 instances in the last 2 days, just this week, in both Chicago and New York.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle. Which one you want? Whatever.
That's the one with the news clip on the front of it. So let me just.
Okay.
Illinois State Police are investigating after a federal agent fired a projectile at the car of one of our reporters.
The incident happened in Broadview, and that's where our investigative reporter Dave Savini is tonight. Dave?
Joanne, Erica, journalists are here on a daily basis just trying to document what's happening here, but federal agents have been repeatedly firing projectiles at them. Yesterday, they fired into a moving car, which was being driven by one of our reporters.
You are about to witness an ICE agent in Broadview fire repeated rounds of projectiles in the direction of photojournalists who are trying to document a takedown of a man who was screaming that he couldn't breathe this past Saturday.
Without provocation and acting like jackbooted thugs, ICE has attacked and detained members of the press, including an independent journalist.
In Broadview, we've documented several instances where federal officers fired chemical agents into the crowd, striking anyone in their sights, including members of the media, repeatedly. But on Sunday morning, about a block away from the detention center, it was a quiet scene. No protests at the building itself. Just after 11 a.m., when one agent fired a projectile at a moving car, driven by our reporter, Asal Razai. Her window was open.
And you'll hear me multiple times have to clear my throat as I inhaled a lot of some of the powder that you saw here.
The projectile struck her car and exploded, sending a chemical powder through her open window.
An ICE agent that was masked pointed his weapon and shot directly at my car. He saw my window was open.
A CBS Chicago correspondent had chemical munitions fired at her car, where there were no protesters in sight.
This is unbelievable, right? This is outrageous.
I didn't see that.
Yes.
I've just seen that.
I mean, outrageous.
Did you see the other reporter that was taken out in a stretcher?
Sorry. We have the one in New York.
Immigration officers followed 2 women into an elevator Tuesday at the federal court in Lower Manhattan, followed by 2 photojournalists. And then
get out the elevator.
Agents in ski masks pushed 2 of the journalists, shoving photographer Olga Fedorova to the ground.
It's a public elevator. We take it every day.
Fedorova was documenting ICE arresting immigrants at their court hearings, as journalists are allowed to do and have done on a daily basis since the practice became routine under the Trump administration earlier this year.
In this same instance, there was a man who was also pushed next to her. She was pushed this way. He was pushed this way. His head was hit so hard. I think his body went numb for like a few minutes.
Is that the one she landed on? The guy she landed on behind her?
Yeah.
There were the still photographs of him being laid out.
Stretcher. They had to put a brace on his neck.
Yes.
A journalist.
Yes. A Turkish
I
journalist, I
have
believe.
some breaking news about this, you guys. That's really scary. And I just want people to know about this because I think it's important. Olga Lautman, who I think some people here know, did a story on this today, but this is from 404 Media, which has done incredible work, similar to Wired, and they have good sources. I'm just going to read from Olga. Olga sent me. Documents reviewed by 404 Media reveal that ICE is purchasing access to a powerful surveillance tool that harvests billions of pieces of location data daily from hundreds of millions of phones. This move reverses Biden-era curbs and marks a dramatic expansion of ICE's ability to track people inside the U.S. without a warrant.
Is it by Palantir?
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Is it a Palantir surveillance?
Here, it is by it's a $2.4 million contract with a little known agency place called Penlink. So Penlink ICE has now deliberately selected Penlink over its competitors once again because it offers a comprehensive, quote, all-in-one platform capable of merging immense repositories of location data with sophisticated social media monitoring capabilities, therefore giving the agency an unprecedented ability to track, map, and analyze individuals' movements and networks.
So, is this the Israeli company?
No, they're
there's more. Oh my God.
This is
the fact that we're like, is it this one or that one?
But that's not the point. The point is they now can track your social media and connect that to your geolocation so that if you're in your social media and you're doing whatever they don't like, they can find exactly where you are immediately. And they don't have a warrant to do this. They just do it.
They're supposed to have a warrant, I'm assuming.
I assume under
there's a gray area.
Maybe under the Patriot Act. They're not. Biden curbed this and they're reinstating it. So
yep.
ICE has now become jackbooted thugs. And the problem is that unlike the jackbooted thugs from the 1930s, these guys have access to AI and to data where they can find us like that.
Yep.
Without a warrant, find us and do that to us and marry that notion with what we talked about earlier, which is that the president wants American cities to become targets for the military.
And marry that.
And they have the largest budget. They have the largest budget.
Right. And marry that to his executive order with anti-American speech being intentionally violent rhetoric. Marry that to all of that, and you have the perfect storm because now they have the predicate, the premise for the justification because you're trying to incite violence by calling Stephen Miller a fucking fascist.
Which he is.
Right. But that's anti-American.
It's domestic terrorism. It's domestic terrorism, Joe.
You're Antifa. You can't say that, Tara. You're Antifa now.
I know. Oh, but I'm sorry. Last time I checked, the people that were on the roofs shooting projectiles at people and gassing them are federal agents, not the protesters.
Right.
But this raises a point to me, which I think is something that I thought about a lot. So every time people were like, we need to have guns because we need to stand up to the government, I used to always laugh. And I was like, the government has all the weapons in the world. Do you think with your, assault?
Yeah.
And now we're those people. The government is actually using weapons at its disposal to come after us.
And the Proud Boys now, you've got you remember the Proud Boys are now out of prison. They've been commuted, and pardoned by Trump. And you've got Enrico Tarrio, that motherfucker, actually threatening elected officials out there in Portland. And Stuart Rhodes and those guys, they've been emboldened now to think that they're going to be like the militia army with the backing of Trump.
Yeah, they stood back and stood by.
That's right.
Yep. But
that's right.
The party of law and order. That's the party of law.
Right. That's the party of the Constitution. Constitutional originalists.
The one that the mayor of Dallas, now Republican mayor of Dallas, that is the party that he said he has never once in his life seen not stand with the police. He said that out loud.
I was screaming when I saw that, and I'm like, dude, seriously? But here we are. And we're also apparently the party of racists. The Republicans are the party of racists and nobody seems to care. Joe, that's you're over it.
Yeah, I'll get to it really quickly because in case anybody missed it, but I doubt that they did. Bully in chief, fucking petulant man baby Cankles McTaco tits, because I can say that, because if he can do this, I can say that. He not once but twice posted an AI video. And by the way, we never even talked about the med beds shit because this guy is leaning so hard into this fucking AI shit. He posted a video of himself talking about a conspiracy theory about med beds. I'm not sure he doesn't know that he didn't say it, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
If you didn't see
watch the movie Elysium, you'll get the reference.
God.
Where's Jake Tapper? But go on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So So not once, but twice, as our country is looming towards a shutdown, he very much wants one that he said out loud will give him opportunities to hurt the American people more. By the way, in the midst of all of that, the seriousness with which he met the moment was to put out these posts with Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero and Chuck Schumer being, whatever the word
AI
is,
voiced,
dubbed,
Yeah.
saying shit he didn't say. Michelle, would you mind really fast? And then I know you have to get to your over it, and we have to go because I know some of us have a hard out today too.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
And my over it is honestly that, first of all, that this is somehow fucking normal, right? This is somehow fucking normal that this is happening. Joe Biden had done that with John Thune and Mike Johnson, and I don't know what the kind of friggin' costumes, like in a friggin' in a Nazi hat, right?
Right.
Like they would have lost their minds. But the worst part of it for me is listening to a Republican lawmaker go on CNN today. Wolf Blitzer, dude, it's time to go. Okay. It's time to go. You're not doing the job anymore. And she said, when he asked, she said, "Oh, Donald Trump is funny. We all know that he's funny."
I can't. He did it again last night.
Yeah,
double down on it.
By the way, why is Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero? Like, what?
Doesn't
Why?
even make sense.
Just
It doesn't even make sense.
They don't care. It's the low hanging fruit. That's the thing. It doesn't have to make sense.
No, it wouldn't matter who it was. It's because they're saying they want to give healthcare to illegal aliens. That's what it is.
And it's
just racist.
Like, as a mom, again, last point. You all know this, my origin story. The reason I just could not stop and will not stop is because when my son asked me in 2016 how that person who embodied as Nikki Haley said everything we teach our kids not to be would have been handed the highest political office on the planet. As a parent, I couldn't square those two things because that is a bully. That's everything you tell your kids not to be. And what he's telling the entire world, including my kids and their friends and their dads, is that's okay. And that's not okay. And Republicans know fucking better. That's it. That was my over. And I know we got to go. But everybody,
up to Michelle, over to Michelle, which is actually another one that's not okay. That's a good one to probably end on.
Well, if anybody needs to jump out, by all means, just because I need a minute here. But so a bunch of American comedians, are going to the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia. Now, think about this as like the Live Gulf of comedy.
Oh God.
The Saudi Arabians are trying to buy Western culture, and they have more money than they know what to do with. And so they're scooping it up and throwing it at Americans who are willing to compromise their values and patriotism for a couple bucks. And among these comedians are some names like Pete Davidson, which was the most surprising to me because,
is that Maz?
As we all know, the Saudi
Hart. I'm like, dude, you don't need the money. What are you doing?
Saudi Arabia has had a hand in September 11th. Pete Davidson's
Bronny, I'm disappointed. Sorry.
Pete Davidson's father died on September 11th. He was a New York City firefighter. So I don't really know how this works, but
I forgot about that.
Okay. Aziz Ansari. We have Andrew Schwartz, who's like a right-wing guy. Louis C.K., who's got a big old chip on his shoulder because he was finally outed for cornering women in the green rooms of comedy clubs and jerking off in front of them. Let's see. We have
Maz. Maz knows better. I'm sorry, Maz Rabrani. No, I know him. He knows better.
There's a lot of names here.
Dave Chappelle, come on, man.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. I'm not surprised by it. Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is completely taken a turn for the bad place. So obviously the good ones, Mabu, Mark Maron is out front, being like, what the hell? And let me just flip through these really quick here. These headlines. I've got another headline here, but there's been a fair amount of comedians that have spoken out and been like, this is disgusting. Now I'm bringing up Jimmy Fallon here really quick. He has nothing to do with this, but put out a statement the other day saying he's just going to keep his head down and avoid getting overly political at all. And here's the thing, and we've talked about this. The comedy is always one of the first things that authoritarians go for, because they have a way of getting people who maybe don't pay attention. And so when I look at these comedians going to Saudi Arabia, which is a country that has committed so many human rights abuses, so many against women, Black, I mean, literally anybody that, let me just, first of all, let me just play this clip from Mark Maron talking about it because, oh wait, I don't have it. Zach Woods is a comedian and he did a really great video about this as well. And why can't I find anything? Hold on. Just give me a second here. And of course, once it's
I would just like to say to Jimmy Fallon real fast. Like, we know how people say, when you ask, what did they do, in the Holocaust? You're doing it now. Like Jimmy Fallon really, like, I know he's a notorious piece of shit. I've heard that from many, many sources, but like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm going to put my head down and ignore what all the videos that Tara just showed.
Remember the hair thing in 2016?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, when he kind of normalized Trump. I have never forgotten that, and I've never watched a Daily Show since.
I know, and I had an acquaintance who was one of his pages and said he was truly an awful person. But he sang my name on SNL, which is interesting. But it's a terrible person.
That's right. That clip, that skit is
Was he in that skit? Joe?
Yeah, with him and Justin Timberlake going, Joanne.
Oh, right.
Here's the first clip from Mark Maron.
Riyadh Festival. I don't know if you heard about that. This is true. There's a Riyadh, Saudi Arabia comedy festival. I mean, how do you even promote that? Like, from the folks that brought you 9/11.
Never forget.
2 weeks of laughter in the desert. Don't miss it. I mean, the same guy that's going to pay them is the same guy that paid that guy to bonesaw Jamal Khashoggi and put him in a fucking suitcase. But don't let that stop the yucks. It's going to be a good time. Full disclosure, I was not asked to perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. So
I'm just going to play the next one. Zach Woods. This has actually gone super viral and I think is a very good putting it into context satirically.
That special time of year. It's the Riyadh Comedy Festival. And all of your favorite comedians are performing at the pleasure of Turki Al-Sheikh. And he is the head of the entertainment authority over there. And he has so many people thrown in prison because they tweeted stuff he didn't like about the soccer team or whatever, that there's a wing of a prison nicknamed after him where they hang people by their heels from the ceiling. Now, there's a lot of drips, killjoys, and dweebazoids who are saying, they shouldn't do comedy over there because it's whitewashing a regime that just in June killed a journalist and killed Jamal Khashoggi and played a big role in 9/11. Shut up. Name one comedian who hasn't whored themselves out to a dictator. Sinbad in the 80s would go perform for dying Nazis hidden out in Argentina. Mr. Bean would do private shows for Idi Amin. Me and Bibi Netanyahu have collaborated. I pitched him a prank show called The West Bank, where it's hilarious. Like, people in masks show up and eject people from their homes, and they're terrified. They just traumatize these families, and then they can never come home.
Sounds like ice.
And it's been going on for years, but this season has been like action-packed. And it's a prank show, but there's also a true crime element because it violates international law and people have been killed a lot. Let's not get our, moral panties yanked up, wedged high in our rumps. Human Rights Watch has been begging the comedians not to participate in the whitewashing of the horrors that are ongoing in Saudi Arabia. Ugh, what a cockblock Human Rights Watch is for comedy. Let's have some fun, let's have some yucks, and let's not look too closely at anything. I'm a hypocrite too.
So David Cross is one of the most recent. If you watched Mr. Show with Bob and David, he was also on Arrested Development. He's like, again, a very well respected comedian. He said, "I'm disgusted. I am deeply disappointed in the whole gross thing that people I admire with unarguable talent would condone this totalitarian fiefdom for what? or fiefdom. Is it fiefdom or fiefdom? Fiefdom.
Either way.
I know I say fiefdom, but I think it's fiefdom.
What a fourth?
It's like Deus Dias.
Yeah. For what? A fourth house, a boat, more sneakers. This is the part. We can never take seriously anything these comedians complain about unless it's complaining that we don't support enough torture and mass executions of journalists and LGBTQ peace activists here in the States, or that we don't terrorize enough Americans by flying planes into buildings.
Let me
Clearly,
really
quick. Clearly, you guys don't give a shit about what the rest of us think. But how can any of us take any of you seriously ever again? All of your bitching about cancel culture and freedom of speech and all of that shit, done. You don't get to talk about it ever again. By now, we've all seen the contract you had to sign.
Wow. Good for him.
So
Yeah, good for him.
I'd love to see the contract they had to sign. I wonder if there's no.
Some of them are getting paid upwards of like, I think $1.6-2 million to do one show. I know some of like the less famous ones are getting paid, I think like $375,000, $400,000. But like that's
all money isn't good money. It's blood money.
Blood money.
There are women there who I hope understand that if they were
Whitney Cummings
is going.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I hope she puts on a burqa because that's how is she going to show her hair? Because you can't do that.
I know.
And she's funny. I'm upset about
like
that.
I'm not. You know what though? I'm not terribly surprised.
Yeah.
I've always gotten a bad vibe from her. But
yeah.
Didn't she hosted an award show recently? Didn't she?
She had her own show back in the day. I never liked her. I always thought she was.
I think if this is the one I'm thinking about, she hosted either the Grammys or something. Maybe not the Grammys. Something. Maybe I'm thinking of a
hair.
different
You
comedian.
think of blonde hair?
Yeah, she's like got blonde hair and tall.
You're talking about the woman who hosts the roast.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wrong person. Wrong person.
Yeah, she's awesome. But
okay, that's who I'm talking about.
But we had a lesson here. If we can end on a high note, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lesson here from Jimmy Kimmel, which is, you know what?
Before your high note, Joe. Before your high note, one other thing the Saudis are now infiltrating is the gaming space. They just bought EA Sports.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
They just bought the Saudi authority. Just whatever that has more money than God that buys everything. They just bought the #1 gaming company in the world, which is EA Sports. That's
right.
Madden and NBA Live, all that. Yep.
As the mom of a 16-year-old, that makes me really super happy.
And I just before that, flying planes into buildings. Okay, like one of the worst atrocities ever committed against the United States of America in the city of New York, and Washington D.C. and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and not to mention the thousands of deaths since. Kidnapping and killing a journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, using a bone saw to dismember him and put him in a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
The list goes on here. And for Americans, this sends a message that we are okay with this, especially as the downfall of our own democracy here at home. And we're seeing all the things that we were just talking about the executive order and the tracking systems and the surveillance and all these things. This sends a message that we can be bought off.
That's right. We're for sale.
We are for sale. And that is why, it's just another example of trying to dismember the United States and sell us off for parts. But Joe, there is a high note here because
bring us home, JoJo.
Yeah, we should all take, to your point, Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert as an example.
As examples, not only as examples of what it looks like to stand up, right, and to have righteous, outrage and to use their First Amendment protected right, and also to mock, because mockery and humor are cathartic and it is powerful, and they pierce the veil unlike other things. But there's a lesson to be learned here. For those comedians, and no offense to any of them, but you know what? We all make our choices.
No offense to all of them.
Okay,
all of them.
Okay, fine. Fuck them. Fuck all of you. And Maz, I'm going to be looking out for you, especially. I'm going to be sending you a message because I'm not really fucking shocked that you did this. But we have the power of the purse, and what Jimmy Kimmel showed all of us. We saw some numbers. There's stuff coming out of what ABC and Disney lost.
Yep.
When people decided to delete their Hulu and all that shit.
Larger than the Netflix controversy, and more money than Reid Hoffman gave Kamala Harris is what I saw.
Yes. And what that tells all of us is still in this moment, before we have to look back and say coulda, shoulda, woulda, we still have power to shape choices, to shape realities. And Jimmy Kimmel coming back was a huge victory.
Huge.
And we cannot forget that, because these comedians are not going to be, maybe they want to live in Riyadh. Have fun, okay?
Yeah.
Have fun living with
Yeah.
your burqas and your oppression and your prison wings for
Don't
comedians.
come back here and bitch and whine about being canceled. There is no such thing as cancel culture in the United States of America. What it is consequence culture. And when
It's called capitalism.
Capitalism.
Run your mouth, and the markets and the consumers don't want to hear from you anymore. Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., the list goes on. I'm sorry, that's the consequence of you running your mouth.
Exactly. And by the way,
which is all us. It's
those
the-
never
right?
forget,
It's us,
right?
the people,
Right.
fueled by
And
the
those
people.
never forget bumper stickers and fucking, all the shit you never forget.
Or
Okay,
shit.
never. You're forgetting. And
Yep.
never forget, when they come back here and they try and book your local fucking community college,
Mhm.
do not get a ticket. Not only that, if you want, go there and protest with a sign from this event and tell everybody you know, because that people love bad news. Tell everybody you know, and they have to feel it in their pocketbooks, because they'll
Yep.
hesitate the next time they want to make this shit okay. And
That's right.
that to me, the lesson there, again, if we can leave on a high note, is that the people still have power. We still have power to
Don't-
shape.
Here you
our
go. Sorry, Julie's dad. Don't fuck with the righteous anger of the American people.
Yep. Yep.
There you go. That's the high note we're going to leave on
And, you know,
today.
and Julie has said, I think it was last week or at some point in the last week, Julie, you said it was, well, capitalism may be our downfall. It's also the thing that's going to save us.
Capitalism is going to save us. It's
Yeah,
saved
as long
us
as,
with Jimmy
as long as
Kimmel.
we can keep it, that's why they're trying to destroy it.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
saved us with Jimmy Kimmel, and it's going to save us here, because as far as I'm concerned, Pete Davidson can go and have sex with whichever supermodel he wants to fuck next. Sorry,
God.
Dad. And good luck to him. I don't really know what's funny about him, because I've never actually seen him be funny. But
I just can't. He of all the people.
I hope he enjoys
It's so
Saudi Arabia.
bizarre.
I hope he enjoys Saudi Arabia. I mean, listen, it's not for me to tell him how to process his anger or his sadness over his father's death. Obviously, that's a huge tragedy. I know that I would not be performing in Moscow
No.
if Vladimir Putin paid me $1.5 million.
Mhm.
That's just
no, none of us would. It's partially why I'm not on The View. All money isn't good money. All right.
Yeah.
On that note, I got to run,
Yeah.
guys. But if you guys want to keep talking, fine. But I can end the show.
Yeah,
It's up to y'all.
yeah, yep.
Now I
All
gotta
right.
go to the
go
vet.
end it.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to Mayday. We will see you guys tomorrow night on the stakes for us over at Seneca, Saturday for Coffee and Conversation here on Mayday. And don't fuck with the American people. The righteous anger. Yes. Bye guys.
Bye, everyone.
Nice.